First off, yeah, I just, Dave's and I would both like to offer our condolences to Jason Jenkins' family and the Miami Dolphins organization. We were both fortunate to know Jason and work with him, and he's an amazing human being, and it's truly a tragic situation, but a really good colleague and friend of both of ours. So I'd also like to thank our entire football operation. It's been a crazy month, between bringing players in, injuries, workouts, these releases we've just recently had to make, and some of the claims that we made from our training staff, coaching staff, football operations, just the entire organization. It's hard when players get hurt, and coaches got to get them ready on a Friday for a Sunday game, and my hat goes off to Dave's and his staff. They did a really good job throughout the preseason on that stuff, and then the pro scouting staff, the work they did evaluating the league, identifying some players that we ended up claiming, and then we'll continue to turn over the practice squad. So with that, I'll open up for any questions.
Joe, you primarily have your roster in place, at least the top end of it, that you're going to have your key contributors. What are realistic expectations for you for this group this year?
Yeah, again, we're just trying to get through today. I mean, I just had to write down some of the potential practice squad moves that we're working on. So again, we haven't talked about actives, who's going to be inactive yet. We're still trying to put the pieces together. So I don't want to set any expectations.
When you got here, you've been open about the challenges, the financial challenges. Like, where do you, given the challenges you faced, where do you see yourself at this stage of the process?
Yeah, we like the guys that are here. The 53 players are on the roster. We're working on the practice squad. Again, the situation that we're in. Again, I know I'm sure you guys will ask, but we'll probably have to restructure something here. Going into next week. So that's something. I know your salary cap questions. That's something we'll do. We're still working through a couple different scenarios, so we'll get where we need to get, where we can get through the season. But the situation's the situation. It's the hand we're dealt, and we're going to do the best we can with what we have. And again, that's the waiver wire, the practice squad, whatever it may be. With what we can, we're going to continue to try to compete and do the best we can.
Joe, given that the personnel is never final, right? I understand that, even going into week 1, week 2, but from where you started to where you are now, this roster is pretty much going to be set. Maybe a couple of little alterations along the way. So where do you feel you did your best work, and maybe some areas where, when you look at this 53 now, do you say, I'm really happy with this maybe not so much, and is this as good a job as you think you guys could have done given some of the constraints you had?
Yeah, I think a big thing when you come in as a new regime is you're trying to set the culture, how you want the culture to look. So physically or depth at a position, whatever it may be. I think what I'm most proud of is a lot of the players that we brought in terms of who they are as people and how we want to do things. Work ethic, smart, tough, and dependable that he talks about, Dave talks about, we all talk about throughout the building. So whether it's our rookie class or a few of the free agents that we signed or some of the VSB deals, there's some guys that just arrived in March that got votes for captain. So we're proud of that. Again, they're helping us set the foundation for where we want to go and how we want to build the roster.
Joe, now that you've seen Daniel Jones for a little while here now, what are your impressions of him, and what are your expectations for him this year? Yeah,
again, I'm not going to get into expectations, but I'm happy where he is. I think you guys saw the 2 preseason games he played in. I think he played well. You guys were here for the Jets practice. I think he performed well in the Jets practice. So, again, I know some people are getting on him, early on, and again, it's Wink's defense, and he's sending people from left field, and we're not game planning for that. So while he's also trying to be on the same page with some of the receivers. So I think Daniel's in a good place. I'm happy where he is, but again, we all know everybody's got to go perform on Sundays, and that's when the evaluations will really start.
Why do you not want to talk about expectations for him?
Again, it's been a whirlwind week. I just cut 30 players. I'm just trying to get through the day. We haven't talked about game plan. Again, we haven't talked about actives, inactives. And again, I think every team, it's going to take 3 to 4 weeks to figure out who we are. Again, I've said it to you guys before, like, how are we going to, react when we face adversity? How are we going to handle success? Like, no matter where you are, every year, that's the case. Like, you really don't truly have a feel. It's going to be overreaction one way or the other on Monday after our first game. Win or lose, win, everybody's going to say we're better than we probably are. If we lose, we're not as bad as we were that day. So I think it's going to take a few weeks to really figure out who we are.
Why do you think you guys have sustained so many injuries early? Have you been evaluating like why that's happening? Is that a concern for you?
Yeah, again, it's football. Injuries are going to happen. We're always evaluating every part of the process, but again, it's concussions are going to happen. It's a contact sport. You're going to have muscle strains. It happens every year, and we can evaluate it and look at it, but again, those things are going to happen. I mean, it's no matter where you are. We've been at 21 years, 22 years. There's injuries every training camp. It is what it is, but we're going to continue to evaluate it. I mean, we had a guy get a concussion, and they both had the Guardian caps on. Like, what are we? There's not a lot we can do about that. We're trying to be as safe as we can in a situation like that, but it still happens. So, but we'll continue to evaluate. If there's something that we can do better, we'll find a way to do it better.
Are there any changes you can point to since you came in that department? Like, Dave just mentioned sports science a lot. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, how have you tried to make changes in that department?
Yeah, I know we spent a lot of time in the spring formulating the plan, the practice plan, monitoring the yardage, how far guys are running on a daily basis. And he probably has the statistics in terms of where we were, but I think they're actually significantly less. Again, if Dave wants to talk about it, he can, but I think the injuries were significantly less this year than they were last year.
Joe, after you took the job, you obviously brought some new people into the organization, and trying to merge the new with those already here. What's been the most challenging aspect of that process and trying to have a unified vision in the building?
Yeah, it really hasn't been hard at all. I think we did make some decisions post-draft in our area, the personnel area, but everybody's aligned philosophically. We kind of set the groundwork for what the process will be and what we're looking for, and everybody's on board.
I guess for both of you guys, I remember when you were both introduced here in this building, months ago, however long it was we have time. Let's take the process, let's be patient, and we have time. Now that the opener is so close, do you wish you had more time? Do you feel like it's the right amount of time, or?
I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Having a 90-man roster and then trying to play in preseason games and plug holes, and that's hard to do. So no, I'm ready. I mean, I like the 53 we have that are here that have all worked hard and practiced hard and learning the playbook, and I'm excited to see how we show up on Sunday versus Tennessee.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he is here if anybody wants to ask him anything. Yeah,
I don't want to do expectations with Daniel, so I'm trying to put a different spin on it. Though, like, what are you looking for from a quarterback? What does a quarterback have to do to be a successful, have a successful season in your eyes? Is it stats? Is it wins? Like, what are you going to be evaluating from him?
Everything. Your performance, your preparation. Again, the job of a quarterback on a team is to lead his team down and score points. Stats are great. Percentage, completion percentage, all those type of things, but the biggest thing is, can you make the right decision under pressure? I'm not saying 5-man pressure, just as the game goes out, the situation that you're in, and make the right decisions for the offense and lead them down to score points. It's everybody's job to do that, but the quarterback touches the ball on every play.
Joe, would it be fair to say the most important thing you've done this year is put yourself in position to next year be more active?
Yeah. I mean, we're not really able to be active this year at all. But yeah, I think come out in good, in terms of salary cap health. I've talked about that a lot. I think going into next year free agency, we'll definitely have a lot more flexibility than we had this year. So yeah, that's obviously important, getting that in order the best we can.
Did you pursue Chauncey Gardner-Johnson at all? No. Does that finances factor into decisions like that?
We take everything into account.
Joe, you're preparing for this, and we've had the opportunity to talk to Daves about it, just the idea of this week and having to make the decisions that you've had to make. As much as you prepare, as much advice as you get from whether it's Brandon up in Buffalo or things you've seen through the years, is it harder than you can actually anticipate for to sit down in a room and tell a guy, thanks for everything, but we've got to go in this direction?
Yeah, I dreaded that day, and we talked about it before we had to do it. We're like, you've been in the organization, but you've never been in the seat as they're, you're shuffling human beings in and out, and there's a human element to it. You get to know these guys, and throughout the process, and you appreciate all the work that they've done for you, and they put their best foot forward. And unfortunately, you can only have 53 on your team. So, that was tough. That was tough.
You have a lot of guys you signed to one-year deals, or guys who were in the last year of their deals, like key players. Is that something you kind of like, that you're going to come in here and have a chance to evaluate these guys 1 year and then kind of decide where you go from there?
Who are you?
Well, Daniel, Saquon, Sterling Shepard, Blake Martinez. A lot of those.
I didn't know if you meant some of the VSBs. That
No, I mean like
John
the
Awards, like some of those guys.
Prominent players.
I think it's, again, all those guys have done everything we've asked. They've been really good teammates. Some of those guys you mentioned are captains, which I think is important. It's an important part of what we're trying to build here, and their leadership has been very important as we're trying to make some changes. So, I'm excited for all those guys. I want them to do well. That's good for everybody.
Joe, you mentioned you have to restructure some people to get the cap. Is Darius Slayton part of this team? Do you think moving forward his cap number is a little higher for maybe a guy who's maybe going to be a 4th, 5th, 6th receiver?
Yeah. Yep.
He will be on the team week 1.
He'll be on the team week 1.
So you're not trading him or cutting? I mean, you got calls about him, so you know.
Yeah, listen, right now the 53 today, I'm not going to say week 1 on any of these guys. You never know what's going to happen, but we like our 53 right now, so we're going to move forward with our 53. If there's opportunities available that we need to pursue, then we will, whether it's Darius or anybody else. Everybody's competing on a daily basis for their position, and we want the best 53.
There's a lot of wide receivers on the roster. What's your thought process behind carrying that many wide receivers?
Offensive head coach.
5 wide.
Waiting to see.
Joe, when you talk to John Mara, I know we see you talking to him out here watching practice. Do you get a sense that there remains patience for a long-term process and a rebuild, so that if this year is somewhat painful, it's with an end in mind?
Yeah, John and I have really good conversations. Dave's we talk on a daily basis. The advantage is he's in the building every day. He's present. We have really good communication in every move that we make. We kind of tell him what we're thinking and the why, and he's a good sounding board. He's got a lot of experience. But yeah, he's let Dave's and I do our job, and we keep him in the loop, and the communication's great. So he understands what we're trying to do.
Two of you brought a strong pre-existing relationship into the building, but obviously the first time to be in these roles. I'm curious, Joe, if I can ask what you've learned about Brian as a head coach, and Brian, what have you learned about him as a GM?
Yeah, as a head coach, very good leadership. Again, it's a different role when you become the general manager and head coach than what you've done in the past. So, Dave's was, coaching half of the team, being the offensive side. So, his ability to lead and motivate, whether it be in the team meetings, post-practice, deal with different personalities, throughout the team, I think are all positives. I saw him do that with, receiver groups on different teams, but his ability to, touch players in terms of get to the players on both sides of the ball and lead the entire team to motivate through camp when things are getting hard and not everybody wants to be there. And then also, loving guys up, maybe after a bad game, whatever day. But his ability to connect with people and lead, I think has been excellent thus far.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing for me about Joe. You witness someone do a different job, and now when you see someone that's in charge, his clear communication, his clear expectations, how he handles not just the scouting staff, but I would say all the support staffs in the building, and lets them know how important they are to the culture that we want to build here. He's done oh, go ahead. You want to interrupt, go ahead.
See
how nice he was there? That's another quality.
As you get ready to send the players away today, are you saying just walk away, get your head straight, and come back Monday and we start getting ready? Or are you sending them away with cut-ups, game plans, and things like that?
Yeah, so our focus this week has been on us. Again, week 1 is always a tough week, again, because you can prepare, in April and May and look at some of your opponents that you're playing, particularly the week 1 opponent, and you might not necessarily get what you think, and you're going to have to lean back on your rules and the communication things that you have during training camp and adjust as it goes. It's usually that way throughout the beginning part of the year. So again, our focus the last 3 days and today is to finish up strong, compete against one another, And then, look, they're going to get a little time away, but they got to come back ready to go. We're in football season now, so besides your faith and your family, like, this is what's important right now is football. And that's what, so when we look at players, draft, free agents, besides smart, tough, dependable, and a skill set, we want people that love the game of football, and it's very important to them. And it's important to our staff. It's important to Joe and his staff, and these players understand that we got players that it's important to them too. So they'll have a couple days. I'm sure they'll do some work in terms of looking at the team that we're playing, some physical stuff, just to so they're not sitting on their couch eating potato chips and playing video games all day. I think we have a good group that are that'll be ready to go on Monday.
We'll take two more. How's Saquon Barkley has looked on the
Good.
field?
He looks really good since the spring. Like, he's quick, he's fast, good hands. I mean, he's been impressive, and he's leadership wise, he's been really good too. So I've been really impressed with Saquon.
How much do you see from Kenny Galladay this summer?
He's good. He's come to work every day. Great kid, works hard, knows his assignments. I don't think he missed a practice. I mean, he's been available. Other than spring, he had a little procedure, but he's been good.
And then with Kadarius, like, how much do you know what to expect from him? Do you have like expectations of what you can expect? The reality is, he had trouble staying on the field last year. Didn't practice in the spring. Now he spent a lot of the summer not playing. Didn't get into a preseason game. So,
I'm excited to see Kadarius. I mean, again, he didn't play any preseason games, so I'm excited to see him get on the field in a game and a meaningful opportunity, and know the playbook and make plays.
Can you bank on him being on the field, though? I mean, are you banking on him being on the field?
Yeah, we're planning on him being ready on September 11th when we go play Tennessee.